South Africa's tourism industry is set for a major boost with the recent release of the white paper on tourism development and promotion. The document outlines a comprehensive plan to revitalize the sector, create jobs and attract more visitors to our country. So what are the key points of this development and how will it impact on both tourists as well as locals alike? Let's now bring in the CEO of the Tourism Business Council of South Africa, Tshivhengwa. Tshifhiwa, very good morning to you. Thank you so much for making time for us. So what's your response to this white paper? Does it address all of the issues that have been raised by the tourism sector?
Well, thank you for having me and good morning to your viewers. I think the white paper comes at the right time. It has been about 30 years since we had the white paper on tourism. I think it was 1996 white paper that identified some key policy interventions that are needed to grow tourism then. And for us to come back now and work on this new white paper, it shows that there has been movement or shifts in the markets and also globally in terms of tourism. So the white paper does address many issues that are important to tourism. And we have been participants from the green paper development, the discussions that we had to now the white paper, and we'll continue to have discussion into the legislation or amendment of the act if need be. So from our side, this is a process. It's a process that is needed. It's a process that is necessary for us to be able to enhance what we already have, and also to have a policy that is conducive for the current environment. So in this white paper, we talk about issues around technology, which may not have been, a big issue in 1996. There are issues around crisis management. There are issues around safety and security. There are issues around skills development and many, many others, including transformation, that are included in this policy. And there are proposals that are attached to those things. But these are broad proposals that speaks to the issues in terms of the opportunities that may arise. But we still need to work on the details in terms of how do we then ensure that this moves into legislation, and how do we then practicalize it and make sure that we realize the targets that we have set forth for ourselves.
Yeah, speaking about safety and security, one of the proposals that has got a lot of people talking is the one for the specialized police unit that will focus on preventative measures and swift resolutions of incidents involving tourists. I would like to hear your response to exactly how you see this particular one play out. And I had a conversation over the weekend with the Minister, Patricia de Lille, about this particular proposal. Just take a listen to what she has to say in terms of the resolution to have a specialized police unit. And for me also, Tshifhiwa, the other part is how we sell such an idea to South Africans who themselves don't feel safe. But listen to what the Minister had to say.
The white paper give guidance on is that finally we hope to get to a situation in our country where you've got dedicated police at especially the hotspots around the country, at all our assets, where tourists go there a lot. But we also understand that crime is affecting the whole of South Africa, and that the Minister of Police, we support his strategy fully, whereby he's pulling the resources of national, province, and local government together to respond to the crisis of crime in our country.
Well, so that's Minister Patricia de Lille, spoke to her over the weekend. Your response to this, because on one end, sure, it may be an incident relating to one tourist, if you make an example of the German tourist who was killed. However, the impact of that, once it hits the papers, once it hits the newsroom as well, the impact that then has on individuals wanting to travel to South Africa.
Well, look, I think, the single most important aspect that discourages international tourists and, possibly domestic tourists to go to certain places is the issues of safety and security. So it's very, very important in making a decision on where to travel. And us as South Africa, we've been having this problem for quite a number of years. In fact, since I started working in tourism, the issue of safety and security has been there. And it's been the number one deterrent when people decide where to travel. So we need to do something about it. And we have discussed the issue of, having a unit that will help out in terms of, the tourists, that are in the country, whether they're domestic or international tourists. But the first prize is to ensure that the country is safe. If we have a safe country, we wouldn't be talking about this. And if we have safe communities, we wouldn't be talking about this. So the first prize for us is that, let's make sure that the routes that leads to specific tourist destination or attractions are safe. Not only safe for tourists, but they're safe for the communities that live around them. And if we do that, we should be able to realize, as I've said, more and more tourists coming into that particular route, and will boost the local economy. And I think that, as we've discussed, I think in the past 5 years, there's been an MOU that was signed between the police and the Department of Tourism in terms of training safety, tourism safety monitors, and possibly having a unit that will help out in terms of, crimes that happen to tourists. So it's very important, for us. But the first prize is that, we need to have a country that is safe. We need to ensure that South Africans are safe. And by extension, if South Africans are safe, we'll have tourists that are safe. But we are not there yet. So we need to work together. And we are saying from the private sector, in tourism that, we are there to assist where possible. We want to work with government, we want to work with the police, and we've been doing so in many areas where there's been incidents that have been reported. But it's very important that we keep everyone safe. And more so, if we do so, we get more tourists coming into the country, we create more jobs, we boost the economy, and SMMEs are able to thrive, and communities are able to benefit. So it's very important that we have a safe country, and by extension, as I've said, safe tourist, destination or attractions.
Yeah, and it speaks to access to foreign currency as well for the country. But do we have any comparative models in any other country where they have a specialized tourism police unit?
Well, there are various countries, in South America, countries in Central America that do the same thing, that have a unit that looks, after tourists in a particular location. So that has been there. And I think here in South Africa, we can use the same model and we can tweak the model, especially in a high volume area where we know that we have challenges. And there has been discussions, and there are certain metros, for an example, who put, some resources into tourism and make sure that there are vehicles that are dedicated to certain routes and so forth and so on. So it's happening, but not at a fast pace. But we do have a bigger challenge across the country. We know where these things are happening. We have had to intervene as a private sector in many ways and put private security to make sure that certain routes are safe. And we are talking about routes, that we can, turn them into blue routes where it's safe to travel or it's safer to travel on. But these things, requires time and consideration. And for us in tourism, we do know that the resources are limited from the police point of view, but we need to get tourists into the country. It's our job as people in tourism. And we need to make sure that we continue. And that's why we've had these interventions in various areas.
Yeah. Finally is issues around innovation. You did touch a bit on that. One of the proposals is to respond to the industry's skill requirements and cutting edge skills currently necessary as a result of the fourth industrial revolution. Does South Africa have a university or a further education institution that is known that it produces the best of the best when it comes to the tourism sector?
Yeah, absolutely. Issues of skills are very important and relevant skills for that matter, because we can graduate as many young people as possible, with qualifications and, there are no jobs. And whereas in other areas, we may find ourselves, lacking skills or looking for people, and we can't find them to fulfill that particular job. So it's important that we have relevant skills. So we do have universities that are, graduating many young people. In fact, the School of Tourism and Hospitality in University of Johannesburg, where I went, is one of the best schools, if not the best in Africa. And there are many others, TUT, and there's even TVET colleges that are producing young people, hotel schools, the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
I think what's important is the relevancy of the skills, and is to make sure that whatever we're training young people to do, we're not giving them hope whereas, there's been a shift in terms of what the industry needs and where we headed to. So we need to involve technology. We need to do, various things in a different ways, as we have been doing a little bit of it, recently with the YES program, where we're training young people, to do content creation and so many other things. So it's important that we have relevant skills, and it's important that when we look at the curriculum in our universities and our training institutions, we get curriculum that's going to be useful, for the future.
Yeah, and why should the short-term rentals like Airbnb be regulated if they are also actually promoting tourism?
Well, everyone in the tourism space, is regulated one way or the other. So I think the part of short-term, rentals is to make sure that, they're mainstreamed into, the tourism industry. And also is to develop regulations that are conducive. It's not to kill the industry, but it's to make sure that all of us have some set of rules that we follow. And we are able to, to operate on an equal footing and make sure that, there is no one who feels that they are regulated. So we may have to look at overregulation, partly to make sure that everyone is on a level where they can operate optimally.
Yeah, would love to hear the response of the Short-Term Rentals Association if something like that does exist. But thank you so much. That is Tshifhiwa, who is the Tourism Business Council from the Tourism Business Council of South Africa.